Senators, and welcome back to Star Wars Democracy. We have finally reached the finale of Ahsoka, and we have a lot to talk about. So, as always, I have Journeyman joining me. Journeyman, how's it going?
Good. How are you, sir?
Doing absolutely fantastic. We have Senator Tony joining us right off the bat. Good to see you, Tony. Long time no see. But let's go ahead and throw the banner up because we're talking Ahsoka. He says, "Where have you been? It's just been busy, Tony." And I'm kind of excited. Well, I have to be careful how I word this because, to be honest with you, I'm kind of excited for Ahsoka to be over in a sense. Like, I honestly feel like it's been a long time coming to like actually get to this point. I feel like we've got to episode 8 rather quickly, yet it seems like it's kind of like
hmm
not that the show's been slow, but like
No.
you know what it is? I feel like part of it is the fact that it really has been a very cohesive story rather than like flavor of the week, episode of the week type of thing, where it feels
hmm
like I've been watching the same movie for over 8 weeks now, and I really have. It's like you start a movie and like you watch little increments of it every week for 8 weeks, and here you are.
I think it's more of the excitement of seeing what is to come with Star Wars after this. I think that's more or less the
Yeah.
excitement that we're all feeling. Um, I feel like the show, just as a prediction or whatever, but like I've been, like you said, I've been really enjoying the show and all that. But I feel like this, depending on what happens tonight, is going to leave a lot more questions than answers, hopefully, for setting up whatever Dave has to offer. So
Hmm.
I feel like that's probably what we're gonna see in this episode is a lot more questions. Because I agree that it's been very concise and very not flavor of the week, but for whatever reason, I'm kind of felt this way at least the past two episodes of just like this is great and all, but we haven't really progressed necessarily like where I thought we were going or like action wise, I guess, or whatever. Like it hasn't been. It's been a pretty slow story, and that's why I said last week. Like I feel like this story isn't over yet. Like there should be a season two if they're going to do it. Like I feel like it's been very concise and cohesive, but I feel like we need more.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, we're gonna hopefully get to talk a little bit about just like what we're excited for tonight and what we're excited for moving forward in this stream. But
hmm
yeah, like I feel like kind of echoing what you're saying, like to pull back up Tony's comment here, where have you been? Like I feel like there's been kind of like a pressure to get out videos, not from like my audience's perspective, but like my own pressure is like crank out videos while Ahsoka's going on, and I kind of just
hmm
like want to sit back, take it all in, kind of be on the same, playing field as everybody, and just kind of like just throw my theories out there after that, instead of trying to like theorize and predict what we're going to see in the next episode. Just be like, okay, we've
Yeah.
got all the data. Let's game on. Let's create all the videos. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well, yeah,
This is an
and I.
interesting comment though by Tony. Like, we can touch on this. It says, I don't
mhm.
want to theorize anymore. I just want this episode to get over so I can breathe. That's how I kind of feel, Tony.
Yeah.
I don't do content creation, YouTube for a living. So for me, it's like it's not that I have to get the videos out. It's more of like an added pressure of like I'm staying up till 2, 3 a.m. in the morning to get videos out. So I'd rather just like kind of let it all breathe after this episode. That's not to say though, I am really, really, really looking forward to getting to this episode and what Dave has in store for us. So what were
Well,
you going to
well,
say?
and
And I guess we can just kind of jump into everything.
what I was gonna say is I feel like a lot of content people like they want to post their content and they have it as a full-time job. That's fair. Like you need to probably do that as it as it is. But like I feel like if you throw out like a lot of theories or whatever, like you want to be right on some of those theories. So you can't really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the show as much unless
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, let's just throw out some theories and see where they lead. If they lead somewhere, great. If we're right, we're right. If we're not, we're not. But I feel like there's pressure if you're going to throw out a theory to have it be right. And for certain
Yeah.
content creators, and that's
Yeah.
just like more added pressure in a sense.
I think at the end of the day, like we all just kind of want to have fun. And it's kind
Yeah,
of funny. All hardcore Star Wars fans, we got Senator Tony, we got Senator Kathleen here, you, me, we're all like, yeah, we really like Ahsoka. It's not that we hate Ahsoka. It's
no,
like it says here, it's like we're just ready for like to take a step back and let the show breathe for a little bit so that way we can kind of like move on. And as Tony says here, Loki season 2 is actually this Thursday. So coming
yep.
out on Thursday nights again, which I think is kind of cool and interesting. You gonna be watching?
Oh yeah, I want to.
What was the last Marvel show anyway to come out? It wasn't Secret
Uh,
Invasion,
it was
which I
Secret
didn't.
Invasion. I still haven't finished it.
Yeah, Secret Invasion, which yeah,
I'm
I didn't even get started. Senator
yeah.
Kathleen, I really appreciate this. Senator Kathleen officially just became a senator of the channel. If I had my gavel, I'd gavel you, but
You gotta.
thank you, Senator. Really appreciate that. You actually have a gavel. So you and Tony, as senators of the channel, have a gavel emoji. So go ahead and gavel us up, if you will. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. So, what are you kind of expecting tonight? Like, what are you wanting to see?
I feel like we're going to see Thrawn leave. That's kind of a given, or at least should be a given at this point. I
So you think the bad guys win kind of situation?
I feel like that's what we're. If it was me, I would. If it was me and this was my show, I'd draw this out, and this would be like a movie thing. This would be the trilogy. This would have been like a first movie type thing of like really drawing it out and staying here on in Peridia or whatever, and like having it still be here. And then you move the second movie. That's when we probably leave and get back to our own atmosphere, but or our own the Star Wars galaxy that we know. But I feel like we're gonna see bad guys basically win. I feel like Shin. I don't know what Shin's deal is. I feel like the theories that we've come up with, like I think that would be a really interesting move of doing that. But do I
Mm-hmm.
think that's going to happen? I don't think so. I just think it would be out, not outrageous. I just don't think that's the direction that they'd be going with it, because it's like legends or whatever the case is. It's like really out there.
So apparently, and I'll throw up the spoiler warning just in case, even though I know most people don't care at this point. But
Yeah.
I think that so Josh from Den of Nerds posted today, and he said that. Well, let me just find the tweet actually, because I think it's worth tweeting.
Yeah.
Or
Sure.
not tweeting, but reading. Obviously, Josh likes the scoops and things like
Hmm.
that. We know this. So 2 hours ago, Josh said, "I know something." Let me back up. I know some new things about Ahsoka, but I'm not saying crap until we all see it together. It's wild. Get ready. Holy crap. And post a gif of Baylan.
Interesting.
Can I tell you what I really like? This is I know we kind of talked about it already, and I'll take off the spoilers because we're out of spoiler territory now. Now we're back into speculation town. But
Yeah.
my ideal scenario for this is one thing I feel like we've really lacked so far, and one thing that we've lacked in particular so far is Morai, the Conver Morai. I
Mm.
don't know how you can have an Ahsoka show and not have Morai appear.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, and we've talked about this for weeks now, but even do you think that it's going too far for normie fans to go into the Mortis God stuff? Because that's one thing that we have lacked thus far, at least explicitly, perhaps implicitly, but I don't know.
Mm.
Because what I'm wondering is if they're going to take this character Baylan and kind of push him towards like
Yeah.
that Mortis God stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what is calling to him? What is calling to him that he's ready to sacrifice
Yeah.
his relationship with his apprentice, everything? Like, he's, and that's kind of I know I'm jumping all over the place here. I apologize, everybody, but that's kind of something that Josh was saying too. Is like you almost feel like this is kind of like last episode was part of like the reshoots and stuff because you feel
Sure.
like you're almost missing a piece of the story. Did you hear him talking about this?
No, I haven't watched anything. What
Well, I'd
was
be
he talking
curious
about?
if you agree. Like, don't you kind of feel like the Baylan that we see in like episode 6 and before, and then the Baylan we saw last week, like, yes, they're on the same trajectory in terms of like motivations and goals, but he goes from like really dealing with his apprentice Shin to just in the last episode being like, yeah, have good luck type of thing. It's like you're missing. You kind of feel like you're missing something, but I don't know. I
Um,
don't know. Maybe it's just
I
me.
I think you're right. I mean, it feels weird that you would just leave your apprentice, but then we are talking about kind of the dark side and like saying, whatever. But I mean, I think you're right though. I mean, it feels weird just to be like, well, here you go. And how about you learn a couple lessons or whatever he's trying to do? Like he says he feels something calling to him, like something's more important than his Padawan. And it's like like you said, their motivations were the same until he's like, do you hear that calling to me? Like, do you not hear that? It's
Mhm.
like that's something so weird that I, I don't
Do
know.
you
I
think it's
think you're right though.
Palpatine?
Would they do that?
Well,
I mean, I know we're
would they
going
do?
to that
I know
point,
we've said this several times. Would they do that? Would they? They would. Let's be honest.
they would.
But with Dave, I think that's an important caveat to that is would Dave do it? Disney probably would, but would Dave do it?
Uh, if Dave does it, there's an explanation for behind why. I know
Sure.
Disney. Well. Okay, Disney would probably force it down his throat and say you're doing this, but Dave would actually come up with an explanation. Like maybe at Star Wars Celebration when we're like, okay, why was that in there? Dave will probably have a great explanation for why or
So
whatever. Like,
I don't think that it's Palpatine just
no,
because
I don't think it is
I
either.
know that
Yeah,
Josh would throw a fit, and apparently, based off of his comment, I think it's a good thing, not a bad thing.
yeah,
So that's kind of the good news there. But let me get to some of these comments real quick, and then we can jump back into the
sure.
conversation. We got Rad Dad Rob, a good friend of mine, actually says, I need to start this show. Just hard to keep up. Rob, you're just a little bit behind, but I can help catch you up. Go back and watch all my videos. It'll help me out and it'll help you out.
I don't know. I just go back.
It'll help everybody out. Go watch every live stream I've have. Like just build up the watch time
Just
as much as
every
possible.
video. Yeah.
Every video I need you to go watch. No, it's good to see you, Rob. Um, Oh, and I got to say too, Rob also has a channel. That's his channel, Rad Dad Rob. He does like Mr. Beast type of videos, kind of like getting into that. He also has a TikTok. I think he already left out of the chat, but uh, I you'll have if you're still in the chat, Rob, you'll have to put in your TikTok. But he like does like gaming streams, and he's kind of like he does
Okay.
a bunch of stuff. But go give him a follow if you have not already.
Nice.
Let's see here. Senator Kathleen, who is an official senator now, by the way, says, I'm liking Ahsoka so far and can't wait to watch the whole series. Yeah,
Yeah.
Senator Kathleen, Journeyman, and actually I were talking about this probably a few weeks ago now, or last week or whatever. But like, how cool would it be to like somehow, it's not going to happen, but like get this into a movie, like cram it into a movie where you can actually like take a night or an afternoon or whatever and like just watch the whole thing rather than have to binge it for 5-6
Yeah.
hours, which is still good, but who has like 5 or 6 hours to just binge it? So, but
Yeah.
it seems like we've gone so far, and I think this is not a bad thing. This is really good storytelling. Every
Hmm.
character has, I feel like, gone so far. It seems like forever ago that first episode where, uh, I mean, what even happened in that first episode? Like, there's a
Yeah.
lightsaber fight. Shin and Sabine have a lightsaber
Yeah.
fight. Ahsoka's in there in the like the that where she gets the map. Like, so much has happened.
Yeah.
It's really good storytelling because I just feel like it's hard to remember that. So,
Mm,
um,
for sure. I can't wait to go back and watch the whole series just because I want to go like watch it from Rebels, the ending, and then getting into it through this way. Even though it's a
mhm.
little different, little not what we expected or may whatever, but like to go back and like watch it from that point to now, have it kind of line up, kind of like season 7 of Clone Wars and watching
Mhm.
Revenge, kind of that same thing of like watching how that worked.
Yeah. Rob says here, yeah, I just heard I needed to watch Bad Batch or whatever that show is first. Well, Bad Batch would be good,
Um,
but Clone Wars, Rebels, I think is what you're thinking of. Probably more so Rebels, but also really Clone Wars. Like,
just go back and watch the original trilogy,
just
prequels, and then
just
we
watch
can
everything, Rob. Just
everything,
everything,
just
everything Star Wars.
everything.
Let's see. Tony here says some questions will be answered and a whole bunch more to think about for season 2, which, by the way, is exactly how this episode needs to end.
Yes.
Only way I will be satisfied. I will give this. There could be no lightsaber duels in this episode because it's not about the lightsaber duels. The best way to end this series, in my opinion, to get a 10 out of 10 for me, is give me some fun cameos, preferably Anakin. Give me some answer all not all my questions, but a good portion of my questions, but also leave me curious and excited for more. That's it. That's all you got to
Yeah.
do. I
Do
mean,
you
am I
think we're
missing
getting?
something or?
Do you think we're getting an actual season 2, or do we think we're just going in a different direction, like Dave's
Well, I
movie?
mean, with the writer strike, basically, I mean, to my understanding, pretty much resolved for the most part. I think that it's definitely
A
possible that,
possibility. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that after tonight's episode, we'll get an idea for sure of. I mean, but I say that, but then again, as we've said before on these streams, like Dave is really good about being able to end a story yet setting up another story.
Yeah.
Ending a story, if this was the only thing that you could get, it would be
It'd be
perfect
satisfactory. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, like we would be satisfied, yet still have so many questions left unanswered to where we could take the story another place.
Yeah.
That is the perfect way to end this season.
I
Let's see.
agree.
Kathleen says, for some reason, I thought I'd already joined. Well, now you're official.
Well, yeah.
Rob says, dipping before too many spoils. So, yeah, I think he went ahead and left because we were probably spoiling everything. So, let's see. Rad Dad, I just don't know how they're going to be able to wrap up the Bad Batch with just 3 seasons. I mean, I don't know, Kathleen. Like, I get what you're saying, but let's remember the seasons do have 6 episodes per season. So that's a lot of way to move that story forward. And I feel like the Bad Batch have always kind of been set up to fail for a number of different reasons. The first reason being we don't see them, and by fail I mean die, in a sense, like or just complete. I don't know, because the first thing being like we don't ever see them again, to our
Hmm.
knowledge, and like they're literally on the run from the Empire. Like the Empire
Yeah.
was what in place for almost 20 years. Like
I think so.
they
Yeah.
they will have continuously have been hunted for 20 years and they keep inserting these themselves into situations that would bring attention to them. It's not like they are, Yoda or Obi-Wan, you
No.
could argue
They're
with the Kenobi series. Like they're not like trying to be in hiding. Like they keep inserting themselves. And based off of where we're going with the third one, like they're going to be going to Mount Tantus, which is perhaps the most secure place in the galaxy from the Empire's perspective in terms of what they're actually trying to accomplish. So
yeah.
I just think that I get what you're saying, but I also think that the Bad Batch was always destined to not last very long because like they're gonna be set up in a way where they don't show up again. So, but that's just
If,
my opinion.
if it all goes to plan, I think the only thing from the Bad Batch that survives is probably what's her face? Sorry, main character. The girl.
Omega.
Yeah, Omega. I feel like that's
Omega.
the only. I feel like that's the only way. I mean, I also think it's weird. I know we saw Rex in Ahsoka, but like we haven't seen actual like old man Rex in this show, which I find not weird, but I'm just like you have Ahsoka without Rex. I think is just kind of off a little bit. Not that I'm saying it's
Yeah,
a bad
I didn't
thing, but
love like I get Dave. Like I'm not saying this is Dave's fault, but like I didn't love the appearance of Rex. Like if you're gonna do it, do it. You know what I mean?
well,
Like
and that was my thing is like at least with I know it's Rebels and it's animated and it's a lot easier and they just do voices and that's kind of what they did for the what they did in this. But like if you're gonna do Rex, like at least in Rebels, when they showed up for when Rex and Ahsoka got back together for the first time, it was like an emotional like reunion of some sorts. It wasn't just like this flashback, which I didn't understand like the Ryloth, like that would be like the first flashback or whatever, but that's besides the point. Like
yeah,
I if you're gonna do Rex, like you got to get Tamara Morrison and like
yeah,
actually do it.
yeah. It wasn't terrible, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Like it kind of like fell flat for me. But that's just me. That's just me. Um, Kathleen says I think Morai is going to show up. I do too. Um,
I think we gotta at least acknowledge the Mortis thing if that's what we're going towards. Like that would be sort of an acknowledgement of some sort.
yes.
It wouldn't be crazy. It wouldn't be um, jaw dropping. It would just be like, oh, hey, there's more. Oh, we're actually like we at least acknowledge the thing of like the Mortis gods.
Yeah, kind of like a Clone Wars season 7 ending with Vader looking up and seeing the Convor. Like
Yes.
if you know type of thing, which is something that Dave is also very good at. And I think has done a very good job in this series of he doesn't have to tell you everything. And that's like I go back to the Anakin episode 5, like it's everybody's theorizing, is Anakin the father? Is Anakin a Mortis god? Like all these things where it's like if you know type of thing. But he never actually comes out explicitly and is alluding to the fact we don't even know if that was Anakin. Like was it just in Ahsoka? Like was it in Ahsoka's mind? Was she actually dead? Like these questions I don't feel like have been explicitly answered. You're kind of just left wondering for yourself, and that's something I think
Yeah.
Dave is really good at. But I really hope Morai shows up. I'm sure we'll kind of get more into that here in a little bit anyway. So Senator Kathleen says there just seemed to be a drastic change in Baylan last episode. I kind of felt sorry for Shin for a moment. I really did too. Like
I know.
I
It's
don't
like
I don't usually like sounds terrible, but really Star Wars is the only type of I shouldn't say the only consistently does this for me. And like I don't usually like get like wound up in the feelings of it all a little bit, but in that moment I was like, what the heck? Like is he really just like
yeah,
gonna ditch her right now? Like
yeah,
and especially when Ahsoka was like, I can help you. Like you could just see that character like you put yourself in that character's shoes, her whole world is changing in that moment. Like a very, very, very conflicted character. Um, which do you think that like by the end of this episode, do you think that she could perhaps change sides and become like become Ahsoka's apprentice?
Shin.
Yeah,
I don't think. I feel like she's on the fence, but I feel like she's one of those characters that she's not gonna give up just her belief. Like her master Baylan taught her everything, and since even though he's leaving her, like going on up on his own destiny, like she's not just going to abandon what she knows unless something just drastic happens.
yeah,
But I don't feel like she's one of those characters that would do that.
yeah. I don't know necessarily in this. I think it's one of those season 2 things, right? Like
Yeah,
we may not even see Shin this episode.
Yeah,
or we might see her at the very end, like in a post. Do you think we'll get a post credits?
I hope. I want something. I want something to at least signify. I don't want just a press release from Dave or something like, "Hey, we're doing a season 2." Like, okay, at least give us something.
I'm almost willing to bet that tomorrow morning or within the next few days, they're gonna come out and be like, Ahsoka season 2 in development. Like, this series has been so good for them. I mean, they literally put one of their episodes in the Dadgum movie theater.
Hmm I
So
think. I think another one of my predictions, like not big, it's not like story based, but I feel like we're gonna get the staff this episode
oh, I forgot about the Dadgum staff. You
because
you think so though?
because so Fortnite, I know everyone, it's a really popular game. Fortnite, I was playing it and they had Ahsoka as a character for a while and it was locked and you couldn't see any of like the stuff that she has or like, whatever is going on. And I'm like, I was because they have like the pickaxe or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
your different
Mm-hmm.
axes. And I'm like, oh, what are they gonna use for Ahsoka? I wonder.
It's
And
the
they're
staff.
sure, yeah, it's the staff. And I'm like, huh, is is that just a coincidence that they have locked it up until now? And like they're they they unlocked all of her stuff now?
It's really the
Because
staff, huh? Hmm.
or is it just like a thing from a cameo from Rebels and being like, hey, we acknowledge the
No.
fans?
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you just said
I
you think we're gonna get the staff, so I guess we
I
already know
think
what you
we're
think.
getting I think we're getting the staff.
What do
That's
the
kind of my question.
what do the senators think? I'm curious of what you senators think. Do you think we're getting the full Ahsoka
Because
the White tonight?
the also the reason that I think that we're doing it is from last episode. Last episode I really enjoyed because we saw Ahsoka in her cheerful self. Like that was a
Mm-hmm.
total shift, I feel like, from what we have been getting with Ahsoka of like this jury, like still knowledgeable and wise, but
Mm-hmm.
the humor wasn't there to where I'm like, yeah, that's not Ahsoka. Now I feel like it's like who we have always known as Ahsoka to be.
Do
Like,
you think the staff could be like some Night Sister related relic? Because I'm wondering if it's like almost like a Beskar staff type of thing, that because we've already seen Morgan Elsbeth use a staff that look like that kind of resembled Ahsoka's staff in Mandalorian season 2. That's what she fights Ahsoka with.
yeah, right. And then
And she is a Night Sister. Do you think like the mothers have like a that's what they use to combat lightsabers with, is like those staffs of some sort, and like maybe she gets it from one of them or something?
uh,
I'm
I'm
just
not
trying to figure out
really.
how she would get it
I know,
and what
yeah.
it would really signify. Or maybe she's just been carrying around a staff the whole time and she just
Sure, yeah.
I really wanted to
Um,
open the world between worlds. We'll see.
I think it. Well, okay. So the other
Senator
thing,
Kathleen says, please no more Palpatine.
yes, please. Um, I think so. Kind of what your theory goes along with of like opening up a world between worlds. I think. Do you remember the scene in Indiana Jones when he puts his staff on one of the holes and it like lights a beam
Which
and
one?
it
I
like
don't know which one.
um, I think it's Raiders, the first one.
I'm not, I'd have to go back and see. I honestly don't know if I've actually seen all of Indiana Joneses all the way through, but
But
we don't have to
there's a
tell everybody.
scene where like there's a staff and it kind of it's not resembling it because it has nothing to do with it, but that's kind of what I think is it's like you said, like a doorway opening thing. Like I feel like there's going to be a way that she shines a light or something, and that's what kind of opens it up, or could. I think it'd be really cool, and I think it would just be if you tie it in with the Night Sisters. I think, or yeah, if you tie it in with the Night Sisters, it's a good
It could
weaving
work.
point. Yeah,
Yeah. The Kathleen says I'll have to check out Rad Dad Rob. You really should. Make sure you go subscribe as well. Let's see. I will take one day a month to binge watch a Star Wars series. Do you mean like you'll take off work one day a month or something?
I'll just take off a whole month.
I'll take off the whole month. That's the thing. Like I keep telling myself, like I would really like to go back and watch all the Star Wars content, and it's like, okay, like I can go watch the Phantom Menace and then watch, Attack of the Clones. Oh, then I got 7 seasons of the Clone Wars to go through.
Well, yeah,
and that's where I go downhill. I'm like, I can't reasonably go do that. And then Revenge of the Sith, and let me watch Andor, Kenobi, Rebels, and then we'll go to A New Hope.
Well, if you just do movies, it's more feasible that you can do that.
Yes.
And that's why movies, I believe, if you can do them in a movie format, I'd rather have it in a movie format because I feel like it's concise and you can go watch it for 2 hours and be like, okay, and we're done. Now I can move on to the next thing.
And I mean, we really have to watch Andor anyway. I mean, we can skip that one.
I mean, I would just go to the Darth Vader part, but that's just me. I mean,
there isn't any Darth Vader part in Andor. You mean Rogue One?
Rogue One, sorry. Andor? No, I'm not gonna go watch Andor. That thing is that thing is lost in the wind. It's just floating out there somewhere for someone to watch. Not me, but someone.
Fair enough. Let's see. Tony says a black bat-like creature showed up twice in the episode, so maybe the sun will show up instead, or both.
Where?
Do you remember a bat?
I mean, I did. I only watched the episode once. I haven't went back and watched it, to be honest.
Yeah, truthfully, I haven't gone back and watched it either. I've just been so busy, okay, people? Tony, what bat are you talking about? I don't remember a bat.
I just think of Batman and his shadow. It's just like standing there.
And not only did he show up once, he showed up twice.
Twice.
Tony, help me out here, Senator. Okay, well, apparently he's not crazy because Kathleen says, you're right.
I think we're crazy.
I think we're crazy. We're not real Star Wars fans. Who gave us this platform?
Oh.
We'll get a season 2 of Ahsoka. I really can't believe the writers really stopped writing.
I mean, I don't want to say anything, but that's unions for you.
Yeah, I mean, they stopped all right. Yeah, but they're back writing. They're back writing, back and better than ever. Let's see. Rad Dad Rob, Your Eyes Only. Look up Mecha Salesman for a future link video of the entire series in one video in a day or so. Oh. Does he combine it? Does Mecha Salesman combine it, Tony? Like you're actually watching the series, or is he just doing a recap of it? I don't know. You have to let me know because I would like that. Mecha Salesman. Let's see. I can't believe Omega will be the only survivor. Maybe they stay on the island with Fee and stay low. I just don't see that.
I mean, that's just my prediction. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just think that's my prediction. Is
I mean,
or at least keep. I keep forgetting all the characters' names. Who's kind of her dad in that show? Hunter. At least keep Hunter and her together. Probably the rest will. That would be my thing. You got to keep kind of the family dynamic there.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it doesn't seem like the Bad Batch. I mean, they're warriors after all to just go in hiding. But I mean, I guess Wreck and Gregor and Wolf all just went into hiding. You see them in Rebels do that.
Yeah.
So it's not out of character for the clones, but I don't know. I don't see it ending well for the Bad Batch. So
no.
Let's see. Tony says he has the entirety of the animated. Oh, he's answering his own question or my question. He has the entirety of the animated Star Wars series in ARC formats, including all movies and other live action media for download. Interesting. Okay. in arc format. So basically combines them into arcs. I like that.
That's nice. I actually like that.
Kathleen says, I think it was Anakin. Going back to the world between worlds, was Ahsoka really dead type of thing. I like to believe that Ahsoka really was either dead or on the verge of dying, and that it
Yes.
really was Anakin reaching out to her from the afterlife, from the cosmic force itself, and pushing her to continue to fight on, because that's what warriors do. They fight. That was
Yeah.
the lesson, which we've already talked about extensively.
Hmm.
I saw someone's theory that Shin gets stranded with Ahsoka. Now that would be really interesting. You know, we've for a long time we've thought that someone is going to be left on in this galaxy when Thrawn returns.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it would make a lot of sense for that character to be Ahsoka, just based off of
I mean,
everything that we're expecting.
it would be another Rebels uh, spin because if Ahsoka saved Ezra from Vader, like pushing him away and getting him on this crap when Malachor was falling down. So like,
Yeah,
I think it would be right for her to
yeah.
do it again.
Yeah, and I think that Shin definitely could stay on the planet, and maybe they work together, and then they're going to have to be the ones to confront Baylan in whatever power he is seeking. Um, I could see that. Like, obviously, I think we're going to see it tonight, which is really exciting. But I'm just picturing like that. Like, there's so much mystery clouded there. Like, what is calling it? Who? It's either who is calling out
Who
to
were
him, what is calling out to him. Like, can you imagine, like, if we actually get to see him, like, walk up to whatever or whoever's actually calling to him? I could
and
just
what is their or its purpose for actually calling him?
right. And so many people have been theorizing. Even Josh was like, honestly, like, because I don't know if you saw, but like Josh in theory didn't like the episode from last week.
Which I'm shocked by because I went watch after the episode aired and I watched them and I'm like, you guys didn't like the episode? I found it was like right up like I felt like we had Ahsoka back.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing.
I mean, I liked it too, but like Josh is like, honestly, he's like, I'd be content with just, he's like, it doesn't, I think his thing was, it doesn't really set anything up for the finale in his opinion, which I kind of could see, but I also disagree with. Like, I still think there's of plenty of things that can happen to come. He also didn't like how Thrawn was portrayed, but anyway, he was like, honestly, like, he was like, I'd be content with just seeing Thrawn fly away in the Chimera and his Star Destroyer, and just like have the whole episode be about Baylan, which is just really, really sad because, like, twofold, on like the more personal side, like Ray Stevenson is not physically here on Earth to receive the love for his character. Like,
Yeah.
his character has been probably the best thing about the show. Like, and I believe that. Like, that's kind of my take on it. Is like, I've been very I've been very intrigued with his character, and I've been very impressed with his performance, and like he's done a really good job. And a lot of people, I think, have appreciated him, and so it's sad that he's not here to experience that. But on the other side of it, like, he's not here to keep going forward with this character, so that's
Yeah.
kind of another thing. Like, we're talking a lot about what Baylan finds, but do you think they're going to end it in a way where they won't have to recast, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. So I'm here's my question with like these uh, with shoots in general is like I wonder if they have multiple endings that they pull from and they're just like we're gonna film all of it just in case whatever like
Yeah,
we can go in a different direction. So if something happened, they could just be like, okay, we'll edit this thing and then it can set up this or whatever that case is. Like, that's kind of what I'm wondering for this situation in particular is like, did they film different endings and like, that way they can send it off right or whatever? Or
yeah,
like, or we're just going to probably ask the question like Chadwick, like, should we recast, not recast, but like, or recast or do like a deep fake? That's
Yeah,
really kind of the question if we're gonna have that character still be around. And it's
yeah,
like, I don't know what the correct answer is.
yeah. I mean, it would be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they do it for sure. I kind of suspect that it's going to be something where Baylan is alive at the end, but I think they'll just have to find a way to explain how he's not going to be in it moving forward. But
Yeah.
let's see here. Senator Kathleen says full Ahsoka and the Morai. Yeah, I'd love to see the staff. I'll have to go look up that Fortnite stuff now and kind of see it for myself. But I would love to see the full blown appearance of Ahsoka the White and top it off with Morai. Tony says, agree. Our Ahsoka characters and Shin all get stranded. And so Tony thinks everybody's getting stranded. Senator Kathleen follows up to contradict that here and says, I don't think all the characters, Ezra and Sabine, will probably do their usual dressing up in clone trooper armor and sneaking on board the Chimera. I do think that they will probably sneak on the Chimera, the Star Destroyer, and that's probably how they're going to escape. I don't see another way.
I mean, that would
Yet.
be that'd be a Rebels callback, just them dressing up again. That'd be, I would like that actually.
Yeah.
Plus it's fitting because she wants to be with her friend and Ezra really wants to go home. So you
Mm-hmm.
send them on their way with Thrawn.
Yeah. Kathleen says, on one of my days off from work a month to binge watch, usually a Saturday, and sleep in on Sunday. Yeah. I mean, you really got to have a good chunk of time there to be able to cram all this Star Wars
Yeah.
stuff in. Because you got, I mean, I just named off all the stuff before the original trilogy. Then you got the original trilogy, you got Mando, Boba Fett, Ahsoka now, and then the sequels.
We don't talk about them. We don't talk about Bruno.
Tony says, I'm so glad to have viewed all the Star Wars media, including the comic series made as a video. I started late 2017. It's a lot to keep up with. It is a lot to keep up with. Yes, on Mega Salesman, the entire video, no cuts. He will all deleted scenes from the DVD Blu-ray see his Revenge of the Sith mega movie that combines the Siege of Mandalore with the movie. Interesting.
I might have to go give that a watch.
Yep. Tony says, I would love to see the Eye of Sion start to get into hyperspace and then a Star Destroyer suddenly appear and the Eye of Sion gets destroyed a la Rogue One. Yeah, kind of like when Vader comes in and is like, boom, and it just hits the other ship out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That would be something. Senator Kathleen says, I think they will recast the Baylan character.
I guess
I
we'll
don't know.
see what
We'll
happens
see.
with this episode. Yeah.
Well, it's 7:52. Do you have any last minute predictions? The last prediction stream for Ahsoka. Anything that you hope we'll see? One thing we have not talked about, which there have been rumors of, and I don't think it's worth a spoiler warning because I don't know if any of them are actually credible, but one thing we have not talked about is will we see our friend Anakin Skywalker again?
I feel like he's shown up twice now. And my thinking on that is like there's got to be a full completion arc with it because first he says when we first meet him is like there's still hope for you yet. And then we get the training sequence and it's like okay, so he recorded messages and we've known about them from Rebels and other such things. So like we know he has recorded them. So he's still giving her lessons. My thing is like so now we have to complete the lesson. Like actually like I know she completed the lesson, but like actually finished a full circle of like there's still hope for you yet, and then her actually coming around and being like, I am this person now.
I 100% agree with you. I think that even with a Hayden appearance, I don't think it will require any dialogue. It could be very
No.
much a Return of the Jedi ending where it's just like a nod of approval type of thing. Like you did what you were supposed to. Although it would be
Or
strange because we're expecting the bad guys to win. So at what
yeah,
point will he come in and give his nod of approval?
I think it
But
would be more of like a character moment of her like complete like doing
her,
whatever
yeah,
like her story. It'd be like I think it would be great is just like I'm proud of you, Snips. Like
yeah,
you've done what I could not or something like that. Like
yeah.
you've done something that I have not. And like that would be just a full moment because when you hand that torch over of being like the master is now we always have that the teacher has now become the master. I feel
Hmm.
like that's what we need within this show. It's like you have leveled up essentially.
Yeah. And again, I agree with you. And I think at this point, like, it's completely plausible. Like, I think it's pretty clear that when they brought Hayden back, it wasn't just like for a day. You know what I mean? Like, they brought
I
him
mean,
back to be a character in this series, not just like a little, you know,
no, it wasn't like I'm sorry to say, but it wasn't like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Like
right.
it
Took you
that's
long
cool that we
enough.
saw. Yeah, it took it. Like that's literally what we were all saying. Like, why didn't she come help earlier?
And
Like,
Palpatine. And Palpatine was in that too. I agree with you. It's very different. Like, he was there for multiple days, and so I think it's completely plausible that he would show up again, not only from that standpoint of him actually physically, like Hayden actually physically being there, but like you're saying too, like this is about Ahsoka coming to a realization about herself, a
yeah,
realization that only Anakin could have pulled out from her, and so
yeah,
it needs to end. Just like, as much as I hate to say it, but just like, well, I'll start by like just like with Luke, like Obi-Wan sees Luke's and Yoda, and then Anakin's there just as like the cherry on top. But like they saw him go from young farm boy to Jedi master really at that point. Um Seeing that full completion, same thing with Anakin, seeing her from the Padawan coming to the full Ahsoka the White, that full moment. And then, as much as I hate to say it, and I don't necessarily agree with it, it's the same thing that they were trying to do with Rey too, with Luke and Leia at the end of taking this character who started here, and now we see
yeah.
her as, dare I say, Rey Skywalker. You see
We don't say
Leia. We don't, we don't say that, but you don't say that. Uh, but you see her go from that, from a
yeah.
story perspective, and you see Luke and Leia give the nod of approval as Force goes. So it only makes sense. It's like George always said, it's like poetry. It rhymes. So it
At
has to
least
be
that's what
done.
we're hoping to see. Yeah,
It has to be done. And that will give it a 10.5 out of 10 for me if Anakin shows up as a Force Ghost. I've
oh
needed to
yeah.
see Anakin's Force Ghost for a really long time, and so that will give it probably 11 out of 10 if I'm just being honest.
It
So
would be a really satisfying end to it too.
very,
Even though,
very, very
yeah,
satisfying, especially if they do it really, really well too. And like,
yeah,
again, like Dave does, like, give us that satisfying conclusion, yet setting up something in the future as well,
new,
which
yeah,
that will just
something
be
new and
a
different.
15 out of 10. But we'll see. It is
Yeah,
very hard to do. So 7:57, we literally have 3 minutes until the finale of Ahsoka. I think we're going to go ahead and motion to adjourn this stream. Uh, but thank you for Senator Tony, for Rad Dad Rob, Senator Kathleen now, who has officially became a senator of the channel. I really appreciate it, Kathleen. Your support and Tony's support. It means the world to me, and we'll continue having these streams for sure, even though Ahsoka's done. But with that, I think we're going to motion to adjourn. Until next week, may the force be with you always.